gonna do? Right now we're importing over half our food. We're importing over half our food. Wow.
So why don't you guys just buy the farm? It's only $1 million. Joe came out 2 days later and he walked the farm with me and he went back to Seattle and bought the goddamn farm. Turned around and my mistake at that time was I should have made the deal to where I had ownership. So they created the PCC Farmland Trust. A couple years later, the chain of stores owned the farm, the first farm that the PCC purchased. And they ended up owning it fee simple. And quite a way the bankers and the people who understood that sort of stuff said, well, you probably shouldn't do it that way. And so they created a sort of structure, a farmland trust, to hold the farms. And so they began buying farms. And so I think now they own somewhere between 20 and 30 farms. The real issue has turned out to be it's not buying land. They're making lots of money over there selling food. It's the management, it's farmers. Who knows how to farm these? Who knows how to manage? It's not just management. People who have the skill and the knowledge to manage land and grow food organically. It's just not available anymore. So that's, originally we thought the issue was land, access to land, and it still is in some ways. But they've been very successful conserving, purchasing farm land. It's people who know how to farm, who know how to manage land, primarily manage land and farm it organically. That is the real issue now, here in the 2000s. So time changes, needs change, people change. And here we are.
I find these 3 farms a treasure to our community. And we like to go to buildings and see museums. This was the museum. The schoolhouse, that barn, this barn, the dairy farm. This was all inhabited by the Jamestown tribe and the Clallam tribe. This is where they lived during the winter. This was the museum. This hard red wheat can only be raised around the 48 parallel and north. And it's the only climate that raises this wheat. And that is the wheat that is used in bread, okay? So when we put a tariff on it coming in from Canada at 25%, that's a problem because we import 95% of our hard wheat for breads into the United States from farmers in Canada, okay? This is soft white right here. It's worth really nothing in my book, but everybody wants it. That's what you make your sweet rolls out of and all that stuff. But everybody in the United States can grow soft white. Anywhere from Tennessee on up, Kansas, Iowa, Ohio can do soft white. But you have to be north and cold to do hard stuff. And then over here, then what we have, everything's coded on these boxes, okay, guys? David's organizing. Come, we're getting grain. But like right here, we're trying to move out our buckwheat. We got buckwheat in Windsor right here. This is just amazing. Nash did these containers, he did the concrete, he did everything. So you can see how devastating it is. He put in a major investment less than 10 years ago to have this property for another 15 years. This here is camelina seed, and it is a seed that when pressed makes probably your most healthiest oil that a person can use. Camelina oil, it's called. We would sell that for something like $25 for a little 12-ounce bottle. Each container is 2,000 pounds. This is why when Nash was being evicted from the property, I was so devastated because there is no way, I might as well give up right now, that we can move this grain and stuff. This here is rye vetch. This is our money crop right here. Ever since we've had the climate change that we recognize that drought comes with climate change, the government has poured a lot of money into subsidizing farmers doing ground cover crops. This is a ground cover crop. And a ground cover crop helps keep moisture into the soil, but it also will, depending on what items are in the ground cover, will add nitrogen to the soil. Okay. This has a little bit of vetch, will add nitrogen. Purchaser last October was government grants on ground cover. They paid for 15 farmers planting cover crop in this county. They brought in the receipt. We went to the thing, we took in 60 bags. They sold everything and even took another 20 bag order from us. So the government paid for that kind of thing. So it helped the farmer. But this is, anyhow, the University of Washington helped him. He's in conjunction with the University of Washington because they pay Nash to help develop seeds that are that can grow in this environment, and that takes several years. So like the buckwheat, they've paid Nash. They've paid Nash for things like spinach, in which he develops seed and makes it, because like right here, we're on the 48th parallel. For us to grow that hard red, it didn't just come out of a bag. That's 20 years of developing that seed and making it more stronger for this environment. On up to a seed room, I'll show you that. Nash's inventory of grain seeds that he helped develop. So he has all these different kinds, as you see, spinach from 2009, green kale. He has records on every one of these. He keeps records like you wouldn't believe. So this barn was built over 100 years ago.
Oh, wow.
And the concept I like to talk about barns and people who can work, keep in mind 100 years ago, we did not have chainsaws. We cleared the land by hand. We peeled the wood, we cut the wood, we dried the wood, we put it in place, and all these timbers came from around here in our fields. Keep that in mind. And that's the end of the tour, Miss Crystal. When Nash took over this farm back in 2002, 2003, he actually found this farm. It was going to go on the real estate market. And so he reached out to his friends at PCC at that point who had more money and funds than he did, and proposed the idea that they go and help secure and conserve this farm. And there were many fundraisers then at that point created that we held, that PCC held, to generate the dollars for this farm. And ever since then, now 23 years, 25 years later, Nash is still farming this farm. He plants barley, he plants rye vetch, potatoes, oats, and buckwheat this year. So the farm is still very much a productive farm. We have gone away from vegetables for many reasons, but the grain that Nash raises can be done with our current tractors, along with our grain operation that's in the barn and our drying operation that's here. All of that is part of the farm operation of raising the grain. Here, you'll see something like 20 different screens. Each one of those screens is for a different level and process and a different operation. For seeds, for grain, for beans, all that. And then you get this machine going, and it gets going, and then it cleans it, okay? And right here, Nash designed this. It lifts up one of these, and is on the wheels, and it dumps. So this thing goes all the way up and dumps. And it either goes down here as a ground, or it goes up there and feeds that machine.
Up there is the seed cleaner and or the grain cleaner, and it's just basically sorting out all the clean seeds from all the trash. Like that's just rye vetch right there, and then a little bit of barley. This one takes out all of the junk, like the smaller stuff, or the too big stuff, or the weed seeds, anything we don't want in there. So what are those guys? Secondary one is for another seed cleaner, which is for smaller seeds, smaller stuff than this rye vetch. And this one goes to this cleaner, which is for rye vetch and bigger grains. Like this one here goes to where we put the clean rye vetch, and it goes into a hopper here. Basically, it just uses screens to filter the grain. Everything that gets filtered out goes into pipes that lead down into the bins. And machine here is called the indent, which is able to separate the rye from the vetch. Nash designed a system which brings the grain up and into the seed cleaner. But yeah, he designed this whole barn basically.
Yeah, we're currently tilling the front field right now. There's a lot of weeds that we have to make sure are down, and it rained about a week ago, so that gave a chance for the weeds to germinate again. Then we'll go on and plow it right now. That's what Nash is doing, and trying to get it prepared for some type of crop. When you're organic, you're not spraying. The only thing you can do is make sure that the weed control, you have an effective weed control, either by doing a ground cover along with disking or disking. And we try to not disc too many times because the impact of the tractors on the soil.
That's enough for one day.
That's a heck of a tractor.
Yes, it is. It's the biggest thing they made when I bought it. Hell of a day to be wearing a fur coat, isn't it? Yeah. Well, let's turn that air conditioning on in the van and get you puppies cooled off. Yes. I'm 84. It's time.
Yeah.
In a way, people say that, but you know, the other thing is what keeps you going. What what spiritually feeds you.
Yeah. What's your plans for next spring?
That's a good question. That's a good question. I think about it every day, all the time. I don't know. People to take over what I have built here, and I've been slowly handing. There was one time. At one time, I had 7 farms. I now have 4. I've gotten rid of 3 of the best by passing them on to young men. Because what I've done with those farms is I've conserved them. they cannot be developed. And so now I still have 4 farms. They're all unique. One of them, the largest, is very unique. At times I've controlled thousands of acres through legal means. And if you know how to farm, nobody else knows how to farm. And you have the machinery. I had the equipment. I've got millions of dollars worth of farm machinery. And I know how to use it. There's less than 1 million people in this country that know how to do that. That's really important.
Thank you for breakfast. Lunch.
Kind of a brunch, really.
Yeah.
A lot of working people today that cannot spend this kind of money.
Yep, nope, that's how I feel about it.
You know, well, this was a load.
So much. Okay, so 135 for this, and then I'll pay that.
You know, potatoes are an easy crop if you do about a dozen things perfectly, like a lot of things, like what you do. You know, it's easy if you just do a few things right. And have the machinery do that.
Why did you go back to potatoes, Nash?
There's several reasons. The one fellow who used to grow potatoes is timed out the last couple of years. I've got all the equipment, because it takes in order to do anything over a garden, you need horsepower and equipment. I've got all that stuff.
And you can do it by yourself, where the carrots you can't.
You can. Mm-hmm. It's nice if I had somebody who knew how to manage equipment, but I don't, and I don't need it, really. I mean, I have some weeds. That field doesn't look near as good as I'd like to see it look. And so I had part of the field I'm using for potatoes. I used it because I'd had it as pig pasture.
Oh.
So it's got fertility out there. Oh my God.
Wow.
Yeah. And I knew the system was going to be a problem in that part of the field. It's not a surprise. But the fertility, oh my God. Oh, and organics, yeah. It's all about managing fertility the year before, or the 5 years before, or whatever, yeah. 50 horsepower. Well, I think technically it's supposed to be a 70 horsepower, but it's a pretty nice tractor. It's all right. It's unusual to have a piece of equipment break down with less than it's got less than 1,000 hours on it. I have to look at I mean, I've got machines around here with 10,000 machine hours on them. Still running. Running good. I mean, that machine there probably has 10,000 hours on it. So I had this machine set up for the first range of cultivation with these S-tine cultivators on it for the potato crop. Normally, I would not change the setup. I just leave this tractor set up the way it is. This thing, I think, was built in 1953. 25 horsepower tractor. I have tractors that are 10 times as big, but they won't do what this tractor will do. They can't. It's all in the design and the thinking. The weed population changes, the plants get bigger, and you gotta change how you set the machine up.
Is it a new angle or a whole new blade or whatever you call it?
As the plants get bigger, they take up more room in the rows and in the field, so you need to you need to leave more room for them.
So it's adjusting it.
Yeah, well, I'm taking equipment out. I'm removing, cultivating, and sending the setup down. There you are.
I filled up your wood box.
I noticed that. Kind of nice.
Yeah.
Like this would cost you probably several times what it cost me to build it. And we all use a little different system. because all of our equipment's a little different and our fields are a little different. Father's father was the youngest of 4 boys. And I have pictures of that family standing in front of the log cabin. You could have fit 4 of those log cabins in this room. Yes, sir. And the father's holding the reins of a horse, a plow horse. Obviously very proud. That's all they had. I think of that now, it brings tears, but then, I mean, that was their savior, I've had this unit since 84,
Wow.
85.
Wow.
Have you had to rebuild the engine or anything?
Never had to do a thing. I mean, that's reliability. Never done a thing to it. Change the oil. It was set up to run on our smaller tractor with limited hydraulic fittings, and now we've got another bigger unit, a bigger tractor that has more hydraulic power. And that's all it is, it's a matter of setup, because you got 2 independent hydraulic systems, actually 3. You got 2 chains, the digger chain and the supply chain that goes to the truck, and they both have their own hydraulic motors. And then you've got the hydraulic power that controls the depth of the digger in the ground. And they all need to be independent. So it's a little bit of a hookup finesse, which in farming you do it all the time. So that's kind of the challenge. We're part of the way there today. We got both hydraulic motors running, Kevin did. But you got to give credit where credit's due, and so I have to give credit to the people that raised me and showed me how to do this. My parents and my relatives who were all farmers. And they didn't necessarily show me how to use this piece of equipment because it didn't exist. But they showed me how to work. That's really important. So we're changing the setup again. It's something we do all the time. You just got to, you never know what you got to do till you got to do it quite often in this business. So it's just a matter of making sure you have the time to do it and taking the time to do it. Quite often in this business, we're forced to do something quickly with not enough time. And that's where people get hurt. I've been in farming business for 55 years. I've never had an injury on this farm. And it's just a matter of discipline, hardcore. You don't do something you should not be doing.
So these apple trees here, Nash planted back 25 years ago or more. There's several different varieties along with pear trees. And Nash came onto the farm and created this orchard here on the Delta farm. This year we'll do 2 or 3 different things. One, of course, just eating good apples. But the farm community will come in and pick, and we will press apples and have apple juice. And then the apples that are left every time and the side products of the apple juice, we'll feed that to the pigs. The sows love that. And we'll pile it into the pig's cage, and they will eat it and snort and be happy. That, of course, then would make the meat sweeter, and it'd be a great time to butcher a pig is after you've done that process of giving them the fruit from your orchard. And so that's part of the whole process of farming.
Well, you shouldn't eat onions, and I put onions in this, yeah. I did. Sorry about that. Yeah.